let's understand what is a request for proposal. So once the company has decided the benefits of moving to the cloud and they are planning to move to the cloud, then the process is started. So basically it means that they are inviting the different cloud providers. So basically it's an effort where the organization who has decided to move on to the cloud, they are giving their specification, their requirement, and inviting the different cloud providers to check their requirement or the nature of the business and can agree to take their business onto the cloud. So RFP is basically a part of procurement cycle, means the entire process of moving the organization onto the cloud. It is basically a document that any company will prepare to solicit the cloud vendor interest in providing services for the migration. This RFP is also specifying the type of contract that the two parties can engage with. So it will provide all the details, what is the requirement and what actually they are expecting from the cloud vendor to take the business onto the cloud. So let's see one by one what exactly are the steps required. So RFP is basically one stage of a project. It's a kind of the initial stage of project, and the project is the company have decided to migrate onto the cloud. So in this project we are on this migration project. The very first thing is the company need to invite or identify who are the cloud providers will be best for the company to to fulfill all the specification and the requirement that the company is looking for. So they need to identify the cloud providers and they need to make a contract. So if the project involves a contract, then a very formal RFP, the request for proposal process, may be used. So basically the RFP is issued by the organization who is wanting uh, a project to be done by the different service providers. So basically it involves in its specifications what exactly is required as a job that they are looking for. So after everything has been identified, means by the organization, they have identified what exactly they are looking for from the service provider, means what exactly the services they are looking for to be handled by service provider. It has been properly analyzed and then prioritized, and then it has to be published. Published means once the RFP is ready, it can be published, and it's a kind of invitation for different organizations who are ready to take this job or take this responsibility. So after the RFP has been published, it can be published by the government or a private company. So RFP is just a process which can be it's a process of inviting the parties to take this service. So it can be done by the government. So it's a process which is opted by all the organization. It may be a government organization or a private company, and then it is open for everyone, and the companies who are like finding capable to take this task, they will be submitting their proposal. Once the management of any organization, for example, there is a Netflix is there. This is a big company and they are doing their own business, and now they have decided to run their business onto the cloud. They have just noted down and identified what exactly is the requirement that the company is looking for, what are the specifications they're looking for. So they have prepared a detailed document of the requirement, and they will be publishing as an RFP. Now this RFP is now published, means now it's available to all, to everyone means because the company is moving to the cloud. So now it's available to all the cloud providers. They can go thoroughly the requirement of this Netflix company, and then they will find that what they can offer to this Netflix. So now all the companies, all the cloud providers will prepare their proposal to submit this kind of bid, uh, or you can say this kind of tender to take this, and they will be offering and they will be submitting the proposal, where they will give the entire detail about the costing, about the benefits, about the services, that how their company is actually the best to take this job. So actually this entire RFP process is not a straightforward. It requires a thorough analysis, phases of writing the proposal and then reviewing it and then correcting it, editing it. So it has to undergo a series of phases, because once the RFP is prepared and it's published, then it becomes a formal document. And if something is missing or missed in that RFP, that will incur a big loss to the company who actually published the RFP. So this is a very important document that need to be prepared with an utmost care and a thorough analysis. So if we talk about RFP, so RFP can be prepared for any business, and those who are looking for services from the or they want to outsource something, or they want to looking services from the other vendor. Similarly, it can also be applicable to the cloud computing environment. So in the cloud computing environment, again, it's a very specific task, and it has its own risk while preparing an RFP. So as I said, RFP is a very formal document, and it should be prepared with a thorough study of the requirement. So one has to go with a thorough requirement analysis of the company, and then only this document will be prepared. So if you are dealing with the cloud computing, then the RFP may require you to add the key peoples with the special skills. So you are into technical business, and you may be looking for some technical skills. So the RFP will provide the specific requirement for these key people, what kind of skills you are expecting within the people. For example, you may state that the person may be having a good knowledge of the certain programming language. It may be you may be asking for some experience or some kind of education, and about their previous skills on working with the cloud. Now, so these are the requirement that may be mentioned inside the RFP. So means RFP is a formal document that will contain everything which is to be needed in order to take the given project. So if we talk about how this RFP work, or you can say what is the RFP requirement. So RFP document must include all the specification and the requirement for the project. Now this basically help to avoid problems with the scope that may incur in the future, and will also the increase in the cost later in the project. So everything should be carefully analyzed to avoid all such problems. So as a part of procurement process, and prior to writing this RFP, the stakeholders should define all the requirements, and there are many ways where the stakeholders can come and can prepare these requirement. So one very popular ways, or very common way, is that there can be organized one requirement gathering session where all the stakeholders can articulate the requirement for the project, and then they will prioritize, means they can make the priority of these requirements. So there are many ways to have this requirement gathering session, and some of the all the stakeholders are invited to participate with the information about the requirement, and they can use a whiteboard and allow all the stakeholders to write the suggested requirement on the board. Then the stakeholders are asked to rank each requirement and then categorize it. You may also provide each stakeholder with a different colored sticky notepad, and you can ask them to write their requirement on them. So by doing this kind of activity, once all the requirements have been captured, the stakeholders organize them into categories on the large whiteboard. Then you can ask them that out of all these requirement, you need to make the priority, that which requirement should be the first, and then the second, and then third, and then you can assemble everything as a complete document. So this all the process are actually required to get the requirement, because the requirement gathering is a primary job of any RFP. It has been identified the specification, the requirement of the company, and it has been documented properly. The company may decide what kind of contract it may undergo with the service vendors. So basically there are three type of contracts which are mainly used. It may be a fixed price contract, it may be a cost plus fixed fee contract, or a cost plus incentive fee contract. So fixed price contracts are basically a scenario where the final contract payment is determined before the start of the project, before the start of the contract. So in this type of contract, the bidder has to be very much kind of aware about the unknown risk, because it is all the responsibility of the bidder to bear all the costs that can be that can be occurring during the project duration. So it need to take care about unknown risk, unseen risk. It has to consider all the things, that how the prices are rising, if they are using any physical resources, then what will be the impact of the physical resources in the upcoming time, and what is the scenario of the market. So they need to be very careful about the upcoming expenses that may be incurring in the project duration, because once this contract is done, the RFP proposer simply pay the fees what has been decided before the start of project, and all other unseen expenses will be taken care by the party who has granted this project. The second category is cost plus fixed fee contracts. So in this here the final contract payment is determined basically based on the actual expenses incurred by the bidder plus a fixed fee. So here the two party agrees with a service fee which is to be paid for the service they are providing. Along with that, and they are also agreeing with the actual expenses that may incur during the project duration. So if something which is not covered in the RFP, or something which is said to be as unknown risk or unseen risk, are to be taken care by the proposer. Then the next category is a cost plus incentive fee contract. So again, this is a kind of similar to the cost plus fee fixed fee contract. So here the final contract payment is determined based on the actual expenses incurred by the bidder plus a fee which is determined by how a project meets or exceeds the performance target. So basically whatever the expenses are actually incurred during the project will be taken care by the proposer, and the service fee is dependent on what is the performance of the project, means what is the quality of delivery. So the quality of delivery will be based on different parameters, and so this is also required a complete documentation, that what is the rate to be paid based on the quality. So here there is not a fixed fee to be paid, but this is paid based on the quality, the time taken, the performance of the of the delivered project. So all these issues are to be taken care to decide the service fee. These are the basically three categories which are used for any contract. Then we have the procurement process. So RFP is a more formal document that actually tells the exact requirement or the thing which the company is looking from the provider, or the services which are looking from the provider. So sometimes the company is actually not very much sure that what kind of services to be provided by the providers, and what exactly they are looking for. So they simply say about the nature of business. For example, there is one company who is doing the business of uh, providing or maybe manufacturing something and then delivering their product to the customers. So this is the job they are doing, and they are not using any online platform. They are doing uh, without online platform. So now they are not very sure that how the cloud providers will help them to move their business onto the cloud. So they are not in a position to write their RFP, because RFP is a more detailed specification of the requirements. So they are not sure about how to start with the RFP and what the providers can provide to them. So they simply give a broad picture of the business, and then they are asking from the providers what can be offered if they take the services. So they simply issues an request for information, or just to inform to the providers that this is my business and what kind of services you can offer to me. So based on this high level requirement, the the providers can submit their proposal. They will give a detailed description about the benefit they will offer, the costing they will offer, and the advantage the company may get if they move their business into the cloud. So this is the first step, RFI, request for information. And once the RFI is issued, organization, after getting the various submissions from different providers, they can go through it, and they are in a position to understand what exactly they can get, what exactly they can expect from the providers if they move onto the cloud. So based on this input, based on the submission by the different providers, they are in a position to understand and make their RFP in a better way. But one thing to understand that it is a tough job to prepare a RFP. It's not a straightforward. So creating a full proposal is actually a very costly endeavor. So the cost of writing this proposal includes initial writing and editing, and then it has to undergo several reviews or several rounds of review it has to undergo. So it will be worked in an agile manner. It is an iterative process, and once the reviews are passed, the proposal is ready for submittal. So if we talk about the procurement process, so the very important point is the offer of this RFP sets one deadline, one submittal date, and this date is extremely important. For example, if the date is set as the 4th June at noon, and if any of the submission is done at 1 p.m., means it is 1 hour late, then this offer will be rejected. Now, because of this kind of offer, you have seen that the companies are working late nights and long weekend because avoiding of missing any of the deadlines. So by not meeting the deadlines, the company forfeits the chance of having the proposal reviewed. Means the proposal is not considered if they are not meeting the deadlines. So once all the proposals received by the contracting officers, all submissions are reviewed and ranked based on the criteria. A team of reviewers will be set up, and this team is basically headed by a contracting officers, or you can say an agent, which basically go thoroughly all these submissions and then do the ranking of these submissions. So when I say ranking, these ranking are basically done on three main factors. One is a technical factor. Technical factor involves, it is to check does the bidder who actually submitted the proposal knows about the technologies or methodologies which are required to complete this project. The second aspect is a managerial aspect, where it is checked that can the bidder manage a project of this type. Do they have experience of working on this kind of project, because it's always important to see about the expertise and the experience. Then the third aspect is also the financial, that how much is the bidder charging for services, means what is the cost of providing the services. Now all these factors are important, and to be checked thoroughly before a company decide that which provider they have to move on. Now, one thing to keep in mind that financial is not always the primary factor, but the technical, managerial, along with financial, will together combine the decision that which company or which provider to choose. So commonly, the proposal is submitted in two parts: the technical proposal and the cost proposal. So both proposals have their equal importance. So all the bidders, they will be submitting that what is the technical expertise, what is their technical kind of existence, for how long they have been working in this field, how many projects they have been handled, what are the skills they have actually existing in the company. So all these things to be to be submitted in detail, and also they have to submit the cost proposal. So these two, technical and the cost proposal, to be submitted as a response of this RFP, and then the entire review team will go through these proposals and decide what to do and how to finalize the provider. So in addition to heading the reviewing team, the contracting officer is also responsible for overseeing that the contracting process proceeds in a legal manner, because it's a contract and it has to be done in a legalized manner. So the contracting officer is basically responsible to ensure all these things. So contracting officer is basically a single primary contact between the organization requesting services and the contractors submitting the bids. The contracting officers assures that all the paperwork is maintained in a properly documented file and can manage the entire bidding process. So it all depends how many providers are there and what is the nature of any bid. There may be possible that for any project there are many bidders are there, and then the entire process may go with the multiple rounds of review, and after each review those bidders with the weakest proposal in terms of technical expertise or in terms of the cost they proposed, these bidders are removed from considering to the next phase. And after kind of filtering these proposals, these submissions, the final bidders who are actually matching with the requirement in terms of technical requirement, in terms of the budget requirement, then they are to be called for their presentation. So these bidders are called, and these bidders will come with their presentation where they will be presenting about their company background, the company strength, the company strategies, the company infrastructures. Means they will be trying to ensure that they are the best to take this project, and also they will be claiming about the costing that they are offering. So this is a kind of defined procedure that 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 is actually required in the entire procurement process. So once any of the bidder is, let's say, finalized, or they are like close to finalize, then most of the time the bidder may be requested to submit a BAFO. BAFO is basically, it stands for best and final offer. Means still there is a scope of negotiation. The company who published the RFP and the company who is actually taking this job, who is acting as a bidder, and if they are like in a close agreement, then they maybe go for more negotiation where they will be asking for submitting the best and final offer. So best and final offer means basically means that giving some more services and reducing the cost. Now this is the last phase of submitting the proposal, and the last review is required here. So the bidder will review notes from the orals and use the information when creating the BEFO, that is the best and final offer. So once the proposal has been awarded, the project manager can start the contract process, and then they will be meeting with the customer, the staff which need to be hired or to be relocated on the project side. So the entire plan that was set up in the process become the basis for the work and must now be implemented within the defined deadline. Now one thing to understand, that RFP to be prepared very carefully. So it's a careful requirement planning. So it is very important to convey all the required information inside the RFP in a very precise and accurate manner, because if anything is actually missing, or if there is any mistake in drafting the RFP, then it will result huge loss to the company. uh, the company may have to restart the entire procurement process and can delay the cloud migration. There is also other uh, issues. If it is not designed properly, the company may also subject to penalties or maybe some legal action for any errors which is actually drafted in the RFP. So it is very important that you fully understand what exactly is the RFP before you publish this RFP and invite the providers to participate, and you go any contract with them. So this is all in this lecture. Thank you very much.